Right, so it's Steve here with MMA Lowdown. It's our first in-person interview at Enhanced Sports Performance, joined with Dundee's own Scott Malone, fresh from his stoppage win at Cage Warriors 125. First of all, Scott, thank you for joining me.
No worries, mate.
So, how have you been today? What have you been up to?
Well, just been training here. This is me just getting back into training. Started off with some testing today, so just slowly getting back into things and then just looking to go straight back into camp.
Awesome. So, what kind of training then do you get done here?
Today, like it says, with some testing, we did testing how far I can jump on one leg, a wee bit of aerobic stuff. Pretty easy day today, just to get me back into things, and it's given Adam his numbers to work off for the rest of the camp. No,
it sounds very technical. So you just fought at Cage Warriors 125, yet here you are a very short time after it. Training, is this normal post-fight?
I usually train quite a lot anyway. Probably would have took a wee bit longer off, but yeah, just getting back in it. I've obviously got another fight booked, so I'm not going to just get back into it straight away. The next fight's on the 12th of August, so I've not got a lot of time.
Whereabouts is the fight? Is it in the UK? Is it?
It's in Ireland, so it's just outside Belfast on Cage Conflict, fighting for the 125 title.
Awesome.
Against Andy Young, who's he's been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
Very good fighter. Obviously coming off a good few losses, but he's still a good fighter. He's still one of these guys that's going to test anybody that gets in there one, so I'm looking forward to it.
And yeah, you know what the Irish are like in terms of their fighting, they always go out to bring it, so that'll be awesome as well. So last week your long awaited Cage Warriors return happened. How did that come about?
Well, I was pretty much sitting on the couch and I got a message through from James Doolan just saying that one of the guys had pulled out. Would you want to take this fight on short notice in 3 weeks? And obviously I agreed to that, so yeah, that was it. We just went straight. My first day, like I said, I wasn't really training at all. I was kind of couch to Cage Warriors.
Yeah.
And we just went heavy at it straight away. We went first day back in the gym. I did 5-minute rounds with Luke Shanks sparring, so that was like the test, and I felt alright. Obviously I fought not too long ago, so I think the fitness was there a wee bit anyways, but yeah, I would have obviously liked to be training a wee bit more beforehand, but you've got to take these opportunities.
So given the nature of it being Cage Warriors, so it must have felt very special. As we had spoken about a couple of weeks ago prior to that, fights haven't been easy to get.
No.
Cage Warriors was always somewhere you wanted to return. What kind of fire did this light in your belly, just kind of moving on?
Yeah, it was a big, obviously, kick up the arse. I couldn't turn it down, you know what I mean? After saying that I couldn't get a fight, to be offered a fight on one of Europe's biggest shows was, you know what I mean? You need to come over these things, and it paid off, you know what I mean? High risk, high reward. Yeah, I was looking forward to it, and I went in and smashed it, man.
So you fought a very tough Swedish fighter, came in with a prospect, big name tag from that side of the world anyway, so you won by stoppage, very dominant fashion. Did you picture that happening beforehand?
I did.
Stoppage?
I did. I can't remember who it was, but I was speaking to someone before it, and they were asking me about predictions for the fight, and I said I'm going to stop him in the second round.
Yeah.
In my head I was wanting to KO him. I was telling Adam a lot that I was going to KO him, and I kept saying I'm going to flying knee KO him, but I attempted the flying knee, didn't quite get it, but I got the TKO, which is technical knockout.
Yeah.
We're still technically right.
And I mean, do you always go into your fights with that agenda, or do you want to finish, or do you want to kind of show your kind of arsenal and your tools and try and stop as best as possible?
I think before I definitely went in to stop the fight. I was never one for going to decision. Coming off the back of 3 losses, for the last 2 fights, I was kind of comfortable just getting the win.
Yeah.
I knew that I had to turn on for this show, and I had to you know, perform and put on a show.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done, and it's going to pay off in the long run. I think I'll probably be back on Cage Warriors, the next one they've got. So.
No, wouldn't be surprised at all. So, given the kind of struggle that you had to get a fight, as you said, you had a couple of losses, then you got a couple of wins, Cage Steel being one very prominent one as well. Did you feel at this stage this was a must-win for you to proceed any further in your career?
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was a risky fight. I think if I had lost that fight, then I probably would have, Cage Warriors probably would have closed the door on me, you know what I mean? So it was one of these ones where I had to put on a show. But yeah, I'm looking forward to fighting for this 125 in this 125 division. See where the guys are there. I know that I fought for the 135 title before against Jack Shore, and I'm looking to get that title, whether it's a 125, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's awesome, man. So did Cage Warriors pay attention to you? Did they tell you that they seen the Cage Steel fights and that, and did they kind of follow you when you left and all the way kind of full circle to get back?
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure on that. I know that Ian Dean does keep an eye on a lot of local fighters. He's got a lot of fighters on his roster that he sort of needs to keep an eye on and look after. So it's when he's looking at fights that are outside of that, it's a good thing to do. Ian Dean's he's a great matchmaker. He makes really good fights. You don't see much mismatches. But yeah, he knows his stuff, and he knows how guys are that are just on the local scene and stuff. So yeah, props to him.
So in light of this this fight you've got in Ireland for the belt, it's Cage Warriors, so that's not multi-fight, is that just kind of one fight, see what happens after that?
Yeah, it's just a one fight. I actually agreed to this fight the day before I got offered the Cage Warriors fight.
Wow.
So I was obviously complaining about not getting a fight. Got offered this fight, which at the time was 9 weeks away. So I agreed to it, and then the very next day, that's when James texted me asking about Cage Warriors. So I'd already agreed to this fight, and I said that to Ian Dean as well, that I've got another fight lined up, and he was okay with that.
So for what I've been familiar with you in terms of your fighting and that, you've done a lot of free agency, if you will. Do you prefer that, like having more options?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's hard sometimes, especially with COVID. It was quite hard. The only sort of show that was going on was Cage Warriors, and I've stepped away from Cage Warriors at the wrong time, I think, to be honest. But you know what I mean. I'm back here now, and I think I'm probably going to get a contract after this fight. We'll see how this goes, and I'm looking to fight on the next show that's here.
So you made a big impact. As Cage Warriors fans will know, you were there. You fought top of the top tier in terms of Cage Warriors, the UFC and stuff as well. Jack Shore and that. Would you say this last performance was your best?
I'd say it's one of the best. I think I've had a couple of fights. I think Amma Singer was probably the fight where I got to see the whole part of my game, getting the knockout and stuff. That was, I think a lot of people sort of sleep on me for that, because I do wrestle quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's probably my best performance. But yeah, this was a good performance. I was happy to get that stoppage and looking to go on from here.
And what was the reception like after it? Did you get like Graham and that coming up to you, congratulating you, giving you a kind of boost?
Yeah, Ian Dean was coming up, says congratulations. I spoke to Graham after the show, and he was like, I'll give you a contract and stuff as well. So kind of verbally agreed on getting a contract, but he did have a few beers in him. So
So that was at 135, that was at catchweight, was it?
This is at 130, that one.
That was at 130. So would you, if you were to be signing back with Cage Warriors, would you try and go back to your old weight class or go down to flyweight?
Nah, I'm definitely going to go flyweight.
Yeah.
I sit so much lighter now than I used to sit. I used to sit up like 75 kilos and stuff. Now I'll sit no heavier than sort of 68 kilo.
Yeah.
It's probably just a wee bit too big for flyweight, but I know flyweights that are sitting above 70 kilos, you know what I mean? So
what would you say then in regards to performance? Like flyweight, do you feel more lighter, do you feel more faster, do you feel stronger?
I do feel stronger. I feel I've got a lot of reach on obviously these smaller guys. And I think the style that I fight, it suits me a lot better. And I do think I'm going to be stronger than these 125ers there.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to just going in and performing against any other guy they put in front of me.
And do you feel that is there more satisfaction getting a kind of stoppage, KO win as opposed to a decision?
Yeah, 100%. I know, like I said, from the last two fights, so I was kind of playing it safe. I was just happy to get back on the winning board, you know what I mean? After coming off 3 losses, it does take a big toll on your confidence, so getting the wins and but getting this win as a stoppage, it's a big relief, you know what I mean? You know you don't need to go another round when you go back to the corner, you've won and it's over and done with, you know what I mean? So it's good, man.
That's awesome. So you're 33 now?
33.
So a lot of people, or at least in the past, people used to say 33 was you're kind of getting to that age where you're at a crossroads, you're not sure where you want to go in terms of your fighting career. Michael Bisping and all that would beg to differ. 37, I think he won the belt. So how long are you looking to go at this? So taking in consideration you've had a lot of fights, different organisations, if you were perhaps thinking about kind of hanging the gloves up, if you will, the last couple of weeks has just kind of turned it on its head, surely?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'll fight until the point where I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah.
If I'm not enjoying it, if I'm losing all the time and I'm going in there just for the sake of going in there, then I'm 100% going to stop fighting, you know what I mean? But the thing is, I feel I'm still getting better. I think the move to higher levels, done a lot, and I still feel like I'm getting better each time. I'm now dropping to a new weight, so everything's sort of new, and I'm excited to fight, you know what I mean? I'm excited to see where my career's going. I think before I was only thinking UFC. Now I'm like taking one fight at a time, and I'm excited for the next one, and from that I'll just keep building on each fight as it comes.
And I mean, if you're talking about weight class differences, as people are aging from getting younger to getting older in their career, usually they'll go up weight just to kind of make it easier and stuff. So what you've done is kind of reversed almost in that regard. So is that playing a big part in that as well?
I think so, yeah. I think obviously my diet's changed, so now eating vegan, so I naturally sit a lot lighter. So it's way easier to make the weight. I actually find it easier now to make the weight that I'm sitting at. 130, my last two fights have been 130. I've found it easier than before when I've fought at 135. I had a lot of bad cuts. Well, mainly the one against Jack Cartwright. I missed weight and stuff for the fight. I had a pretty bad cut. It went pretty good until the last little bit of weight, and the last bit of weight wouldn't shift off. But this one, like the last two, have been fairly easy to make. You know what I mean? I felt like I could have made 125 in that weekend there, easy.
So if 130 or 135 was where you used to be motivated, what's the biggest motivation about moving here? Is it the kind of talent that's coming up? We know flyweights have been on the brink of being punted, if you will, but there's a kind of new lease of life. UFC and all these other organisations are bringing the popular flyweights in. Is that something that motivates you?
Yeah, definitely. 125ers are always going to put on a show, man.
Big time.
You don't see loads of knockouts, but like I think more recently you're starting to see all the knockouts as well, even at 125. But the guys, it's scrappy, you know what I mean? It's fast paced, it's high paced. They're super quick as well, and we dense guys, you know what I mean? So it's exciting. It's exciting. It was like the first time I've ever fought someone that's actually smaller than me. Everybody else has been like 5'11" that fought. You know what I mean? So it was a change, getting that wee bit extra reach. You know what I mean?
Did that change your approach going into it then? Like, did you feel not complacent, but did you feel the size advantage? We know that everybody's got their own abilities, but did you feel that was a good advantage for you going in, like inside? Yeah,
definitely. I felt like if I can keep him outside on the reach, I would definitely be able to pick him away. I was planning on striking loads more. I was wanting to go for that knockout, but the shot was there. You know what I mean? I ended up taking the shot, and once I got him down, I felt quite comfortable on the ground with him. So again, I went straight back to that in the second round, and that stopped the fight.
And see, when you hit him on the ground, did you feel that it was going to get stopped, like at that moment, because it looked like pretty dominant, like he didn't look like he had any answers for you whatsoever?
I get to that position quite a bit in training. It's one of my favourite positions. I heard my cornerman James obviously shouting like the referee's coming, keep going. I was kind of in my head having battles like, am I going to wear myself out here? Should I go for it? James is like, go for it. So I just kept going, and you know what I mean, I pushed through that mental battle, and if I had to then continue the fight after that, if he escaped, then that was what it was going to need to be. But again, I had to take that risk.
So see at that moment, like with fatigue and stuff, so see when you're laying down shot after shot after shot, do you feel it in your arms? Like, do you feel that kind of weakness seeping in, all the blood getting there?
100%. Like each shot you're throwing, you're getting softer and softer and softer with the elbows or whatever you're throwing. But yeah, you need to just fight that mental battle in your head and just keep going, and eventually got the stoppage.
So what's your main motivation? So we know that as many people used to, UFC used to be way up there now, but you'll be familiar with one, you'll be familiar with like the PFL and that. Would you consider like the PFL and all that if it ever came calling?
I would love to fight.
They're getting a lot of people.
I think PFL is a really good show. It's unfortunate that we don't really get to see it over here in the UK, because obviously it's not really on much platforms, but it is. I watched it quite a bit when I was over in California and stuff, and it's a good show, man.
So you're aware of their point system and that, if the way it works, I think if you're going into a fight and you're down, you need a first round finish to get 6 points and all that. Is that something that, considering the extensive fights that you've done, is that something that would be perhaps more satisfying for you to do with a bigger agenda?
It gives you that sort of goal to finish the fight in the first round, rather than just going out to win a fight. I think it gives people the goal to actually want to finish, you know what I mean? Same as when, obviously, in UFC and stuff, you get your fight of the night bonus and stuff like that. So, unfortunately, Cage Warriors don't do that type of thing, but it would be good if it did.
There's been calls for people to do it. I think people have been trying to campaign for Cage Warriors to do it, so it might be something that you see in the near future. So, Cage Warriors, when they says that there's potentially going to be a way of getting a contract, were they very vague about it, or did they specifically tell you that we're going to get something organised later in the year?
Yeah, so Graham says, you want a contract, Scott, I'll give you a contract. That was his exact words. I'm going to hold him to it, so I'll just be campaigning for that if not. But they've never, I think my manager spoke to Ian Dean, he did say he was going to get us back on the next one, so I think another fight, and then we'll see where that goes after that. I'm in no rush to get to the title, obviously, but that's where my main goal is.
So what's most important then at this stage? So do you, obviously it's essentially, we know it's very much athletics, but a lot of people kind of deem it prize fighting as well. Is it more about legacy and belts for you, or is it good to get a good income and just kind of get as far as you can with that aspect of things, moving on post-career?
It's never been about income. If it was income, I would have quit fucking 10 years ago, you know what I mean? So it's not really about income, it's kind of just about, it's just about making me a better person each fight that I take, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to improve myself rather than looking at anything else. I've got goals. I've always had goals from the start. One of my goals has been to win the Cage Warriors title. So that's still a goal, you know what I mean? I've got there twice and I've missed out, and if I get there again, I'll definitely not be missing out.
See, I think a lot of people going into Cage Steel, so I was doing a wee bit of research on it, and I don't know if you keep in line with trolls and people on social media, do you kind of look a bit? No, but a lot of people were kind of, obviously you know you've got your biased people down in Doncaster and the people who have got their favourites and all that. A lot of people though were talking about the competition that you've had going into it, like you say, you've not just fought soft fighters in regards, you fought people who have been champions, people who went to other organisations, so I was just wanting to see if you'd ever been experienced with any of the kind of trolls or stuff, nothing like that?
I didn't take no interest in that.
The best way to be.
Each person that's got anything bad to say about me is just a reflection on themselves, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm doing me, whatever I want to do, and if they don't like that, then fuck them.
Couldn't say any better myself. So what's your main motivation then in this next chapter of your career after the pandemic, the big break? What's the biggest motivating factor here?
Just to be honest, I want to do well for my family, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's obviously the main goal, is that if I can get into UFC and get comfortable with my family, like, or whatever show, you know what I mean, if I can make my family that extra wee bit more comfortable, then that for me is good. But it's not always just about like money, you know what I mean? It's just about me improving myself and winning each fight as it comes and when it comes. I think before, like I said earlier, I kind of just looked past everything and I thought I was getting to the UFC. And I'm going to take this slow. I know I'm 33, but I'm still taking it slow, and my body's still the same, you know what I mean? I still feel like I'm improving, I still feel I'm getting a wee bit stronger and stuff, so.
No, and you see people didn't hit their peak until like their mid-30s, kind of moving on past that. Everybody's different. Do you believe in your heart of hearts then, with regards to where you've been, you've got more experience in all these different organisations, do you feel that you can get up to that level one day? UFC, PFL, Bellator even as a possibility?
Yeah, definitely. I've sparred with UFC guys and stuff before. Sparred with Figueroa, Davison. Sparred with him over on Team Alpha Male.
Oh, did you?
And I was doing fine against him, you know what I mean? So he was world champion.
He was.
You know what I mean? So that's the level I know that I can hang with these guys. So I know I can do well in there, you know what I mean? That's obviously the goal, is to fight the best guys in the world, and get paid for that, ideally.
You sparred with Josh Emmett as well, did you?
Sparred with Josh Emmett, sparred with Andre Feely, a few other guys. There's loads of guys even that are not in the UFC and stuff that are that give you hard rounds over 2.5 mil, you know what I mean? Eventually you'll start to see them coming through. But yeah, every round's as hard as the last or hard as the next.
What do you think of Feely's performance last week?
I've not actually seen it yet, but
seen it?
I heard someone to get disqualified or something.
He got disqualified, but it's the best he's ever looked like.
Yeah, I did see some clips of him basically outstriking the guy. The guy got dropped and stuff, I've seen that. But I've not actually watched the full thing. So I'll look forward to go and watch it.
Pretty dominant fight. So again, I'm kind of straying away back to the UFC and all that. So where do you see yourself then? So as we said, 33, you've got a win streak now. Sometimes it's 1 or 2 fights, stroke of luck, and before you know it, you're exactly where you want to be in that thing. So where do you see yourself then in 2 years, like given taking in consideration Cage Warriors, the experience you're in now? Where would you want to be ideally in 2 years, realistically?
I'd like to be signed to a bigger promotion, you know what I mean, and fighting abroad. That's always been a goal as well. No matter which promotion it's on, fighting abroad would be good. I'd like to travel. I grew up doing judo, so I was always travelling each country. You know what I mean? I've basically been to every country in Europe. Been over to Canada and stuff and competed over there. So doing something similar would be pretty good. Like fighting on whatever show. Like Australia's always been a goal. Fighting over in Asia would be a goal. So one championships I think would suit me. I think the weight cut and stuff that sort of suits me with the less trash talk and all that compared to the UFC. But wherever it takes, you know what I mean. Wherever I go, I'll just be taking one fight at a time. Yeah,
one's more about respect and honour. It kind of goes back to classical and takes away all the trash talk and stuff. So that's awesome. So you're a Scottish fighter. I'd personally say now that as a fan of MMA from Scotland, would you say like kind of Joe Calderwood, Paul Craig, yourself and all that, best time to be a Scottish MMA fighter? The spotlight will be on you perhaps more than it has been before. Do you feel that? Do you feel the kind of buzz in the air with Scotland?
I feel like there's been a buzz in the air for a while with Scottish MMA. There's like guys that come up and then sort of drop away, and then more guys are coming up and drops away again. It's like, because we're this wee tiny country, it's like we don't get the opportunity as much, I think, but like guys like Paul that's obviously way to go and fight Gustafsson, which is a massive name. That's massive for Scottish MMA.
Huge.
You know what I mean? Stevie Ray fought Michael Johnson. Again, another massive thing that happened for Scottish MMA. And these guys are paving the way for the next group of guys that are coming in to do MMA. And me as a coach, you know what I mean? I can use that as like little things to inspire them. You know what I mean? Like a wee guy from the hood can go on to do great things. You know what I mean?
What part of Dundee you from?
From Kirton. The good end.
I'm from Whitfield, so that's not too much better. So no, I think that Scotland's amazing. Like I says, as a fan, it's good. I'm trying to promote Scotland in my own way, just with the wee kind of platform that I've got as well. So no, I definitely see it creeping up to be an amazing thing. So your next fight, so it's going to be in August. It's going to be in Belfast.
It's just outside of Belfast.
Just outside, and it's Cage Conflict.
Cage Conflict.
And who are you fighting?
Andy Young.
And it's for the 125 pound belt.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's awesome. Awesome, man.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming on.
No worries, mate.
We'll get it again soon, and we'll get more equipment and stuff as well. Appreciate it, mate.
Sorry, I got really
My mind went blank there, man. Jesus.
It's good though.